If you don't listen to me, we're getting a divorce, he threatens. I don't need a husband so selfish. I'm faced with the option of divorce that my husband, Nathan, brought up. He looks at me smugly, thinking he has won. And here I am, uncertain of what the future holds. My name is Linda. I'm 35, married to Nathan 5 years ago, and we live together. We've wanted kids, but haven't been blessed with any yet. We considered fertility treatments, but decided to leave it to nature per Nathan's wishes. If it doesn't happen, then living as a couple is a life too. Nathan said, which was somewhat comforting. After we married, his parents passed away one after another. Busy as we were, there was no time for treatments. Truth be told, Nathan is an old-fashioned patriarch. We were originally boss and junior colleague at the company. In front of relatives, he'd casually call me his foolish wife and wouldn't hesitate to severely scold me for any mishaps. Since a hierarchy was established before marriage, it continued after we became husband and wife. This might make him sound terrible, but he has his kind moments. Back when I was his junior colleague, he provided precise advice and guidance during work mistakes or difficulties and also showed appreciation for hard work. Above all, he was the one who encouraged me when I was down after my beloved grandfather passed away. Then we started dating and got married. Now, I have left my job and am a full-time housewife. Hey, Linda, I'm home. I missed you. Today, Nathan returns home past 9 p.m. as usual. Given his managerial role, the workload is heavy and he almost always works overtime. It was late again today. You must be tired. I pick up his discarded shirt and socks as I talk to him. He sits slumped on the sofa, saying nothing. This is routine for him. He must be really tired. I start preparing dinner so that it's ready for him to eat immediately. Once I finish serving the food and cutlery, he silently begins to eat. He finishes eating in just over 10 minutes and then heads towards the bathroom. I prepare a bath towel and underwear, and then start cleaning up after dinner. After his bath, he heads straight to the bedroom. Nathan has always been a man of few words, but lately, perhaps due to his promotion, his fatigue seems to have accumulated. In the last year or so, there has been hardly any conversation between us. But I trust and love him. After all, he was the one who helped me when I was at my lowest. I lost my father in middle school and my mother in my first year of high school. Afterward, I was taken in and raised by my grandfather. He adored and raised me as if I were his own daughter. I loved my kind and warm grandfather dearly. I wanted to repay my grandfather in many ways once I started working. With that in mind, after getting a job, I saved money to take him on trips and to enjoy delicious meals together. The time I spent with him was delightful, and I wished he would stay healthy forever. However, 3 years after I started working, my grandfather passed away from lung cancer. I became literally alone in the world. I knew I would have to part with him someday, but I never expected it to be so soon. I wished I could have done more to show my gratitude to my grandfather. I wanted to spend more time with him. I was so sad, spending my nights crying. It was Nathan, my boss at the time, who noticed the change in me. He listened to me compassionately and told me, it must have been tough. You've done well. I was really glad he was my boss. Nathan, usually strict and intimidating, was kind with his words then. I'm sure he's genuinely a kind person. I know this. That's why I want to keep supporting him in the future too. I feel committed to this thought. Then, on a certain afternoon when we were off, the home phone rang. Hello? Oh, Linda. It's me. It was Nathan's brother, Sean, on the phone. Oh, it's been a while. What's up? Just need to talk to Nathan, is he around? Yes, just a moment. I called out to Nathan lounging in the living room. There's a call for you. As expected, there is no response. Nathan silently takes the receiver. Hello, hey, how are you? What's up? His face, previously sullen, lights up as soon as he takes his brother's call. Sean is 15 years younger than Nathan. Because of the significant age gap, Nathan is very fond of his younger brother. I've heard Sean recently married a wonderful woman and was living a fulfilling life, but what could have happened? What? Really? Are you okay? Nathan's tone changes dramatically to a serious one. What on earth could it be? Right. If you're in trouble, remember you can tell me anything. I'm your brother, after all. Nathan ends the call with those words. What happened? Is something wrong? Sean has apparently been laid off. Laid off. I am shocked. I never expected such a thing. Yeah, I heard the company was struggling, but I didn't expect him to be laid off. Nathan sits down on a chair, looking dejected. I couldn't hide my shock either. Sean's personality is the complete opposite of Nathan's. He's kind and gentle, always humble. He respects me as his sister-in-law, and when Nathan insulted me in front of relatives, Sean would defend me, saying, "Nathan, don't say such things. It's unfair to Linda," and apologize to me, "Sorry, Linda." His attitude is terrible. Sean's wife is a similar kind of person, and I had a good impression of the couple. That such a person was laid off. I start thinking about what I could do for Sean and his wife. I want to help them, support them in any way possible. That is my sole intention. Hey, Nathan, is there anything I can do to help? Nathan looks at me sharply. What do you mean by something? I mean, maybe there's something we can do to cheer Sean up a little? Nathan sighs at my words. You really are hopeless. You wouldn't understand being out of the workforce and all, but this is the hardest time for him. And you think you can just casually ask if there's something we can do? Stay out of it, you're an outsider. His aggressive attitude leaves me taken aback. What I thought was a gesture of goodwill seems to have infuriated him. Outsider? Aren't I part of the family too? I say to Nathan, almost pleadingly. Family? You're my wife, not related to my brother. Irrelevant. Outsider. His words pierce my heart. Never before has Nathan been so aggressive. The layoff must have hit him harder than I thought. But still, there are things you should and shouldn't say. Just don't do anything unnecessary. He says and then walks out. From then on, Nathan becomes even more domineering towards me. What's this food? Learn something from Sean's wife, will you? What have you been doing at home all day? Sean's wife keeps herself neat and does all the housework even when she's home. I have never seen such an unreasonable side of Nathan. What on earth happened? Enough already. What's gotten into you? Even I have to talk back to Nathan. Shut up. Everything is a mess because of you. Nathan starts spouting things that make no sense. There's no reasoning with him. Soon, we stop having conversations, not even making eye contact, and the gap between us only grows. Gradually, I begin to question our relationship. Then, one day, Nathan has been organizing things from the morning. Like a major cleanup, he is sorting out what is needed and what isn't, continually increasing the trash bags. I wonder what he is doing. But recently, our relationship has grown so cold. Lacking the energy to initiate conversation, I don't say anything about his actions. Yet, unusually, Nathan speaks to me. Hey, what are you doing? Get ready too. Huh? Ready for what? We're moving. I'm giving this house to Sean and his wife. What are you talking about? It turns out that Nathan has decided to hand over our house, where we live, to Sean and his wife who are struggling after the layoff. Wait a minute, why are you deciding this all by yourself? Shut up. Don't you dare defy me. Nathan shouts at me angrily. But I don't back down. Didn't you yourself say that we should do something for my brother? That's a different matter. And where exactly are we supposed to live if we give this place up? We can think about that later. Right now, Sean needs help, and it's my duty to support him as a brother. Nathan is going ahead with his own plans. Surely, Sean wouldn't want us to leave our home just to accommodate him. So why? As I look at Nathan with suspicion, he hands me something. If you're going to talk back that much, you're no longer needed. Let's get a divorce, and get out right now. He throws a completed divorce oath at me. I never imagined he would bring up divorce. I'm stunned by Nathan's unexpected action. But strangely, it feels right. I don't feel like we can go on as a couple anymore. Maybe this is a good opportunity. I pick up the divorce oath from the floor and silently start filling it out. Nathan looks at me with a smug face. His face seems so ludicrous that I almost burst out laughing. And once I finish filling out the divorce oath, I confront Nathan. This house isn't yours, right? Huh? This is the house I spent time in with my grandfather, and the land belonged to him too. I inherited both, remember? When I say this, now it's Nathan who looks stunned. How are you planning to hand it over when it's in my name? Tell me, how? I press him for an answer. Well. I mean. Nathan suddenly becomes flustered. Did you forget? Before we got married, you moved into my house to save on rent. And since the house and land are in my name, I've been paying the property tax every year and you haven't contributed a penny. That. Well, never mind that now. Once this oath is completed, we're divorced and effectively strangers. Wait a minute. Let's calm down. Calm down? That should be my line. How can you just hand out a divorce oath so easily? How selfish can you be? I can't believe it. I unleash all the pent-up frustration I've been holding back. I loved Nathan, and I thought he loved me. But perhaps that was a misunderstanding. I never imagined our marriage would end so abruptly. Linda, wait, there's been a misunderstanding. Let's talk. Talk about what? You're the one who brought up divorce first, right? I'm done with you. With that, I securely store the completed divorce oath. Today is a holiday, so I'll submit it first thing tomorrow morning. Nathan lies prostrate on the floor in a daze. It can't be, he mutters incoherently. Without any sympathy, I firmly tell him. This is my house. Please leave immediately. Once this oath is completed, we're strangers. I can't live under the same roof with a stranger. Nathan keeps resisting until the last moment, but I don't waver. After all, we're strangers now. There's no need for pity. Even as Nathan cries and clings to me, I feel nothing. And then, Nathan reluctantly leaves the house. The news of our divorce quickly spreads throughout Nathan's company. Apparently, he is soon ostracized at work. The cause of the divorce and Nathan's behavior throughout our marriage are detailed in rumors, and he seems to have lost his place in the company. I wonder who is spreading those rumors. I just told his colleagues what they asked, nothing more. Then, about half a year after the divorce, on my way back from the real estate agent, I encounter someone I didn't want to meet. It's Nathan. Well, my ex-husband now. It's as if he had been waiting for me to come out of the real estate agent. It feels disturbing. Even when I try to ignore him, Nathan keeps following me. Finally, out of frustration, I decide to talk to him. Enough already. If you have something to say it quickly. Linda, I've always hated you. What? I'm stunned by his sudden declaration. Apparently, Nathan has blamed me for his brother's layoff. Why do you think it's my fault? Ever since we got married, bad things kept happening, didn't they? Indeed, since we got married, Nathan's parents passed away, and Nathan got injured among other things. But his father had been hospitalized before our marriage, and his mother had always been frail. Moreover, Nathan's injury was a result of him tripping over a curb while drunk, breaking his wrist, a self-inflicted wound. Yet, in his mind, I am the harbinger of misfortune. So, you've been hating me all this time, thinking I'm the cause of all the misfortune? Even though I thought you were just awkward. You were actually just hating me. I am just astonished at Nathan. Blaming others for his own problems, how incredibly selfish. And without any basis. It's a wonder how such a person has managed to be a manager at a company. I worry about his junior colleagues, possibly being unfairly criticized for no reason. When did the dependable boss I knew become like this? And I feel a bit pathetic for having married such a person. But, even after divorcing you, bad things kept happening to me. Like what? As I ask, Nathan rolls up his sleeve. His skin, scarred and painful looking from burns, is exposed. Actually, my apartment caught fire 3 months ago. That's not all. I keep losing my wallet, making mistakes at work. And now, my brother has gone cold, not even contacting me recently. So, his misfortune continues even after our separation. Well, of course. Frankly, hearing this doesn't make me feel sorry or pity him. Because it's all due to the consequences of his own actions, it has nothing to do with me. Please, Linda, come back to me. I can't do it without you, okay? We've been through so much as a couple. And I took care of you when you were working, right? And I helped you a lot when your grandfather died, didn't I? I feel disgusted by the man in front of me trying to guilt-trip me. All your misfortune is your own doing, isn't it? Why don't you take a hard look at yourself? And get rid of your habit of blaming others for everything. With that, I leave Nathan behind. Linda. Wait, Linda. Linda. Nathan calls my name, trying to hold me back. Ignoring him, I disappear into the crowd as if I'm a stranger. In fact, about a week after we divorced, I receive a call from Nathan's brother. Well, he's now my ex-brother-in-law. Hello, Linda. It's about my brother. According to what my ex-brother-in-law tells me, the decision to give their house to him was solely Nathan's unilateral decision. He and his wife know nothing about it. Nathan has always been boastful, so I've always been worried about him. The way he treated you was terrible, and as his wife, it was hard for me to watch. He's truly a kind person. I wonder how two brothers can be so different. I don't know if it's my place to say this, but I think it's good that you divorced. I want you to be happy, Linda. Thank you, I'm glad to hear you say that. Then he tells me he found a job quickly and seems to be managing okay. I'm genuinely relieved. I've decided to keep my distance from my brother. He must have his reasons for saying this. He intends to gradually lose touch with his brother, my ex-husband. This explains why Nathan can't get in touch with his brother anymore. Divorced from his wife and estranged from his beloved brother, Nathan has truly become alone. I hope he realizes the gravity of his mistakes someday. But before that, I need to disappear from his life. On the day I ran into Nathan, I was signing a contract with a real estate agent to rent out the house I inherited from my grandfather. The house is too big for just me. But I can't let go of the house filled with memories of my grandfather. If anything, I'd rather have someone who wants to live there enjoy it. I'll change my phone number and move to a new place, completely cutting ties with Nathan. I'm only 35 years old. There's still so much life ahead of me. The company has decided on a demotion for me. My husband came home with a grim look on his face. What? I almost spilled my tea in shock. His company had been performing poorly lately, and I had heard there would be significant personnel changes due to restructuring, but I never imagined that he would be directly affected. However, as his wife, I felt it was especially important to be supportive in times like these. Well, I guess we just have to chalk it up to bad luck. Times are tough, but I'm working too, so don't worry, I replied cheerfully. My name is Emily, and I'm 50 years old. I currently work part-time in an administrative role. I live with my husband, Kevin, who is 2 years older than me, our 16-year-old daughter Sarah, and Kevin's 72-year-old mother, Barbara. Barbara and I don't exactly see eye to eye, but since I work outside the home, we only see each other when I'm around. So I try not to let it bother me. I told Sarah, your dad's a bit down about a demotion at work, but let's act normal around him. But then, Kevin started taking his frustration out on me. And oh, how he took it out. They say people lash out at those closest to them, and that was true here, as all his anger was directed at me. The next day, while I was mopping the hallway with a Swiffer during my day off, he passed by and suddenly said, "You've gotten fat, haven't you? Compared to when we got married." I responded, "Eh? Well, yeah, I'm 50, after all." I read in a gynecology pamphlet that women tend to gain weight around menopause. But I didn't get flagged for obesity in my company's health check. He retorted, "Health checks aside, your figure is just too unsightly. It's shameful to be seen with someone looking like a mortar. It's all self-indulgence." I was at a loss for words at his unkind remark. Then he just said, ugly, and locked himself in his room. What? What just happened? I pinched my side. Sure, there was something to pinch. I could easily grasp the curve between my thumb and forefinger, indicating I had indeed gained some weight. But why bring this up now? I was so shocked that I forgot I was holding the Swiffer, and it slipped from my hands, clattering to the floor. The stick slipped from my hand, clattering loudly as it fell to the floor in the hallway. From that day on, the hostility directed at me only intensified. Unfortunately, Barbara had overheard our conversation that weekend and decided to join in, doubling the trouble. Once, while I was carrying a laundry basket upstairs, Barbara waited at the top, not bothering to come down. Oh, how annoying. If you weren't so fat, we could pass each other on the stairs. Because of your size, I have to wait here, she complained. Furthermore, when I served fried chicken for dinner, it was taken away with the remark, "Isn't it because you eat stuff like this that you're getting fat?" Then, with a snide comment, "Let's have the three of us, excluding the overweight one, eat it." My gynecologist once said, after middle age, women either gain or lose weight, and Barbara was on the thinner side. She was so thin, she looked like a dried-up tree. But I could still tolerate Barbara's treatment. I had grown somewhat accustomed to her petty harassment over time. What really hurt me was Kevin's behavior. Since that incident, he had stopped talking to me altogether. He would eat the breakfast I prepared without a word of thanks. He just ate in silence and then stood up without a word. He'd silently go to the bath and come out just as quietly. We shared a bedroom, but he would just turn his back and play with his phone. Being treated like air was unbearable for me. One night, in the bedroom, I finally mustered the courage to ask, "Hey, have I done something to be ignored like this?" He replied, "Not really. It's just that I only want to talk to humans. You don't want to be seen as part of the same family with that size. If you love me, lose weight," he said. I felt disheartened by his words. But, it's natural at middle age. You know that, right? I even walk 2 kilometers to and from work. I'm trying my best. Indeed, I was making efforts to combat weight gain due to aging. But he turned away, saying, "If there are no results, it's the same as not trying at all. Please don't talk to me anymore." From then on, he truly stopped responding to anything I said. Barbara kept harassing me about my weight, questioning whether I should be eating meat, fruit, and pasta with comments like, "Should you be eating that? Are you aware of your condition?" As a result, I could only eat salads and stews. Kevin just silently moved his cutlery, not saying a word. Maybe our marriage was beyond saving. I started packing my things in my spare time. If being ignored and treated like air by my husband meant I should become invisible, then so be it. When I confided in Sarah about moving back to my parents' house, she agreed, "Yeah, I understand. I've seen Grandma and Dad's bullying you at every meal. It's hard for me too. I'll go with you. I can still commute to school from there." Now, the day before the start of his demotion, which had been decided a while ago, Kevin came up with a smile, saying, "How about we all have a drink tonight? I'll make cocktails." Tomorrow marks the start of a life without any subordinates for him. Perhaps that's an unbearable thought for him. But by then, I no longer had the will to indulge him. Even his forced smile was irritating. He said, "I'll make some cocktails." Come to think of it, this might be the first time I've heard him speak to me since the day after the announcement of his demotion. "Sarah will be fine with juice." "I'll make a cocktail for Mom too," Kevin said. He placed the prepared drinks at 3 spots on the table. Strange. What was he up to all of a sudden? While he turned his back to search for the TV remote, I took a moment to sniff the drink he had offered. Faintly, but unmistakably, that smell was there. This faint smell. I recognized it because I had used it in cooking before. To think he'd add such a thing to a drink. Unforgivable. I had endured Barbara's bullying and Kevin's neglect. But now, I was ready to fight back. The cocktails pushed me over the edge. "Sorry, honey. Could you get the camembert cheese from the fridge? It's from Flower Field Farm and really delicious." I'm so happy for this family moment, I said. He must have felt obliged to fetch it when I mentioned how happy I was about this family moment. All right, if it's special, let's open that too, Kevin said, heading towards the refrigerator. While he was away and before Barbara and Sarah sat down, I swapped the drink from the right seat with another. The right seat. It was Barbara's. Kevin returned with the cheese. All right, now that we have all the snacks, I'll call Sarah and your mother over, I said loud enough for both of them to hear. Dinner's ready. They came into the living room and took their seats. The usual dinner. I didn't have steak or potato on my plate. Just salad, soup, and cheese. And the cocktails. Sarah had juice. Let's eat. Sarah exclaimed out loud. Barbara and Kevin remained silent. I drank the cocktail that Kevin had made as usual. He was staring intently at me. I smiled at him and said, "Yeah, it's delicious." I heard Kevin mutter faintly but ignored it. I enjoyed my salad and took another sip of the cocktail. Then, suddenly, blarg. A beam of red liquid spewed from Barbara. It was like Godzilla's atomic breath. What's happening, Grandma? Sarah exclaimed in shock as the liquid splashed onto her salad, and she stood up abruptly. Did it get stuck in your throat? Are you okay? Sarah quickly fetched a towel and hurried back. But upon returning and offering the towel to Barbara, who wiped her mouth with it. What is that? Sarah's voice was full of disbelief. Grandma, your lips are swollen. Barbara started freaking out. Hey. It's spicy. So spicy. What did you put in my drink? She screamed, lunging at me. I coldly brushed off her hands. It wasn't me. Kevin made it. It was probably the first time she had been rebuffed like that, and the fact that Kevin had made it was unexpected. Barbara exclaimed with her swollen lips. She then turned to look at Kevin. Kevin was trembling. I leaned over the table, bringing my face close to Kevin, applying pressure. You thought the color of the cocktails would disguise it, didn't you? I noticed a faint smell, familiar because I've used it in cooking before. That was Hell's Drop in there, right? Hell's Drop. I bought it at a farmer's market. While death sauce is famous for being spicy, I preferred Hell's Drop because it had yuzu in it. I noticed a hint of yuzu scent, which meant a significant amount was mixed into the liquid. Barbara, not knowing either, didn't notice because of the wine cooler's scent or thought the yuzu scent was part of the seasoning. She had drunk it unknowingly. Regardless, it was beyond a prank. It was downright malicious. Dad did that? Why? Sarah was visibly taken aback. I intended it for Emily. Kevin confessed, and Barbara started shouting. Exchange it with yours, now, she demanded, foaming at her swollen lips. Barbara was unreasonable. Even if she didn't know, the fact she wanted to push such a thing onto me once she realized it was meant for me was outrageous. No way, why would I exchange such a scary drink? I continued to apply pressure on Kevin, ignoring her demand in a low voice. Then I demanded an explanation from Kevin. I just can't comprehend what you're doing. Why would you do such a thing? He then said, you remained overweight and spicy food boosts metabolism, so I made it for you. Ha, pathetic. Such a pitiful excuse. I forced a smile. Could he really believe such a reason would be acceptable? Utterly disgraceful. Kevin recoiled under the pressure, backing his chair away slightly. It's not uncomfortable, this is a legitimate reason to support dieting. Here, swap with Moms and drink this. I made it for you. I closed the distance as he retreated. What are you talking about? Since you made it, you should taste it to see if it's good, right? Here. I stood up, grabbed the glass with a Hell's Droppa that had been in front of Barbara, and slammed it down in front of Kevin. I leaned in closer again. Did you really think I would drink something you suddenly offered with a smile, after ignoring me and treating me like air all this time? Couldn't your empty head imagine that possibility? Isn't it childish? Now, taste it as the person who made it. Take responsibility. I slammed my hand on the table. At the sound, Kevin, realizing he couldn't just back away, stood up from his chair and retreated further. A tense silence followed, then a quiet voice said, "Drink it." A quiet voice was heard. Kevin and I turned towards the voice. It was our daughter, Sarah. She began to speak as if squeezing the words out. Taking out your work frustrations on mom, who supports you the most, and then resorting to such childish pranks. I might not be supposed to say this as your daughter, but it's just too immature to watch. Sarah stood up. Turning to Kevin, she continued. Is being overweight so bad? Mom wakes up early, walks to work, brings her lunch, she's trying. It's not like she's not making an effort. Then, turning to Barbara. And Grandma, joining in by taking away Mom's dinner. Your behavior is like middle school bullies. It's unseemly. Barbara, flustered by her granddaughter's words, stammered, "No, it's not that. I was just worried. Worried that your mom might get even fatter. She probably wanted to be seen in a good light by her granddaughter. In fact, Barbara did like Sarah. But this time, Sarah was harsh. Compassion is something that should be felt by the other person. Watching Mom's dinner was heart-wrenching. She looked so sad. You can't call that compassion. Mom hasn't even been flagged in her health checks, and yet you take away her food. That's just mean." Barbara fell silent. By the way, it seemed Sarah had finished saying what she needed to say to Barbara. Sarah continued, now turning back to Kevin. Mom even goes to the gynecologist every month and does her exercises. Yet you ignore her for being overweight. Who do you think you are to do that? Don't you realize how bad the atmosphere at home has become because of your treatment? Even the KFC's colonel is overweight. There's a term, happy weight gain. I'd be happy if Mom became a cute grandma. I dream of Mom becoming a chubby grandma and saying, "You've gained happy weight," while holding my child. Won't you let my dream come true? Sarah's gaze, as she spoke calmly, was as cold as ice. Yet, her words warmed my heart. It is like hot milk enjoyed with cookies. A father scorned by his own daughter is a pitiful sight. And just to add, Sarah said to Kevin, if you're going to ignore someone for age-related weight gain, you should be aware that with your thinning hair, you could be ignored even sooner by others. The atmosphere at the table turned incredibly tense. Sarah's sharp words left the room feeling as cold as if bananas could freeze. It seemed she had said all she wanted to. With a sigh, she turned to me. It's enough, Mom. Let's end this. It's better to be free and happy. Her words startled me. To be free and happy. Yes, that's right, to be free and happy. As I said earlier, my dream is to see you holding my child and talking about happy weight gain. I want you to be happy for me, to fulfill my dream. Be free and happy, and make my dream come true. Her words filled my heart to the brim. Overwhelmed by Sarah's every word, I felt warm tears streaming down my cheeks, rendering the mistreatment from my husband and Barbara's fat shaming, along with the drink incident, insignificant. Yes, you're right, you're right. My vision blurred with tears. Come on, Mom, hurry up. Sarah patted and then caressed my back. Okay. I went to the kitchen and returned with a document I had been hiding. Kevin uttered in surprise. After being ignored for a month, I started thinking about it. I've been packing my bags. Let's each start a new path separately. I presented the divorce papers. Wait a minute, I just wanted you to lose weight. I thought I'd be satisfied if you did what I wanted. I realized it's just lashing out after Sarah said it. I wanted to hurt you more for not losing weight. I didn't think it would come to this. Kevin started to panic. It's too late to realize the gravity of your actions, and your little actions were too childish. Sarah sharply retorted. Apparently, the prospect of not living with her beloved granddaughter was no joke for Barbara. In a moment of panic, she resorted to an incredibly sweet, cajoling tone. Hey, Sarah, you want to live with your grandma forever, right? I refuse. I don't want to breathe the same air as people acting like middle schoolers. Sarah dismissed Barbara's plea. Wait, I get it. I'll taste it as the one who made it, I'll take responsibility. Kevin grabbed the cup in front of him and downed it in one go. Blarg. Like Barbara earlier, my husband also spewed a stream of red liquid, resembling a flamethrower. This resulted in his lips swelling up, resembling fish roe. See, I took responsibility, Sarah. Sarah took a photo of them with swollen lips on her phone, saying, "Both of you look ridiculous. Mom, let's go," and left the living room. Yes. I followed her out. Thus, the dining table was left with a mess of cocktail and two people with swollen lips. I moved back to my parents' house with Sarah. After explaining the situation, my parents were furious and confronted Kevin and Barbara. They returned with the divorce papers, and the divorce was finalized. Kevin, already on the decline at work, ended up living a lackluster life. I learned that he had been demoted due to ignoring his subordinates. Barbara, already difficult and reclusive, found her life with Kevin more strained than ever. Ultimately, Kevin called, saying, "The tense atmosphere we have now wouldn't exist if you and Sarah were here." The 17 years we lived together since Sarah was born proved that. "Please come back, I'll stop ignoring you," but there was no chance of returning. "Gain weight while you can. You'll need the energy when you have grandkids," my mother laughed. That's true. Today, as usual, I walked to my workplace. On the way, my supervisor happened to drive by, stopped his car, and offered, "Do you want a lift?" "No, thanks, I'm on a diet." "Come on, get in, Emily." Yes, I had found a new love. Both of us divorced, we understood each other's struggles. "Dieting's fine, but don't be late," he said as he drove. "I've never been late." I puffed out my cheeks. He turned to me, pressing my puffed cheek with his finger. "Spare me the time you saved by taking the car for a chat." He joked, a talkative and charming boyfriend.